Hello, friends. Last time, we drank the nectar of the first 3 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. We saw how Arjuna sank down in despair on the battlefield. We heard Krishna reveal the truth of the deathless soul. And we learned that immortal formula that has guided the world ever since. Do your work fully and let go of your grip on the result. Today, we continue that journey. Today, we'll understand the heart of the 4th, 5th, and 6th chapters of the Gita. The 4th chapter introduces us to a sacred fire, the fire of wisdom, which can burn to ashes the accumulated weight of a lifetime of mistakes. And it is here that Krishna reveals the great secret of why the divine takes birth in this world at all. The 5th chapter untangles a knot that has confused seekers for thousands of years. What is true renunciation? Must you abandon everything and walk into a forest to be free? Or can you live right in the middle of the world, with all its noise and duty, and still be inwardly untouched? And the 6th chapter? This is the beating heart of the whole Gita. It hands us the practical keys: how to meditate, how to tame this restless mind of ours, and how to find the boundless joy that has been hiding inside us all along. And as always, along the way, I'll share some beautiful stories with you, so that these deep truths settle gently into your heart and stay there. So come, sit comfortably, take a long, slow breath, and let us continue this sacred journey. At the very start of the 4th chapter, Krishna says something profound. He tells Arjuna, "This yoga I am teaching you today is not some new invention. It is timeless. I taught this very knowledge to the sun god at the dawn of creation. He passed it to his son, and he to the great kings after him. In this way, the wisdom flowed down through a chain of sages. But over the long passage of time, this yoga was lost to the world. And today, I am telling you that same ancient yoga once again, because you are my devotee and my dear friend." Hearing this, a very natural question rose in Arjuna's mind. He asked, "But Krishna, you were born in our own lifetime, and the sun god existed at the very beginning of creation. How am I to understand that you taught this to him?" And then Krishna revealed one of the most beautiful secrets in all of the Gita. He said, "Arjuna, you and I have both passed through many, many births. The only difference between us is this: I remember every single one of them, and you do not." Then he explained that although he is unborn and imperishable, he still appears in this world through his own divine power. And why does he appear? His answer is perhaps the most quoted promise in all of Indian thought. Krishna says, "Whenever righteousness declines and unrighteousness begins to rise, at that time I manifest myself, to protect the good, to check those who do harm, and to firmly re-establish righteousness. I appear again and again, age after age." You see how much reassurance is hidden in that promise? Whenever you feel that there is nothing but injustice all around you, nothing but darkness, remember that this darkness will not last forever. Some force in some form always rises to set things right again. And very often, that force does not appear as somebody else at all. It wakes up inside you in the moment you decide to stand up for what is true. There is a second comfort hidden in Krishna's words about his many births. He is telling Arjuna that this life you are living is not your only chance. The soul's journey is long, and it does not begin or end with this one body. So if you feel today that you have wasted time, or started too late, or fallen too far behind, the Gita quietly tells you that you are further along than you think, and that the road ahead is longer and kinder than you fear. Then Krishna says something else that is very beautiful. "In whatever way people approach me, in that same way I receive them." In other words, this universe is a mirror. Whatever you offer it comes back to you in the same measure. Offer love, and love returns. Offer faith, and grace returns.
Now comes the deepest idea in the fourth chapter. Krishna warns that the nature of action is very hard to understand. Even the wise get confused about it. And then he says something that sounds almost like a riddle. The one who sees inaction in action and action in inaction, that person is truly wise. That person is a yogi. Now, that sounds puzzling, so let me unpack it in simple language. Seeing inaction in action means this. You work with total dedication, and yet inwardly you know, I am not the doer. I am only an instrument. Think of an actor on a stage playing a king. He plays the part with everything he has. He weeps, he laughs, he fights, he rules. And yet inwardly, he knows, I am not actually a king. That is exactly why, when the play ends, he can walk home in peace, with nothing clinging to him. And seeing action in inaction means the opposite. A person may look completely idle from the outside, sitting still and doing nothing, while inside, his mind is racing through 1,000 plans and running after 1,000 desires. He is doing nothing, and yet he is doing everything. So the real question is never about your hands. It is always about your mind. This is why Krishna says that the one whose every undertaking is free of selfish craving, and whose actions have been burnt clean in the fire of wisdom, that is the person the wise call truly learned. And what is such a person like? Krishna describes them beautifully, content with whatever comes to them unsought, risen above the swing of opposites like pleasure and pain, and free of envy, happy with what has come, no weeping over what hasn't, and no burning inside when someone else does well. Think about that for a moment. The day that spirit takes root in you, half the sorrow in your life will quietly pack up and leave.
Then Krishna says something that transforms ordinary work into worship. He explains that when the offering is divine, and what is offered is divine, and the fire itself is divine, and the one making the offering is divine, then everything becomes sacred. In practical terms, this means when you do your work in the spirit of, this too is an offering, this too is a form of worship, then even your smallest task becomes holy. Cooking a meal becomes worship. Your work at the office becomes worship. Caring for someone becomes worship. Change the spirit, and the entire value of the act changes. Now comes the most powerful message of the fourth chapter. Krishna says, just as a blazing fire reduces firewood to ashes, so the fire of wisdom reduces all your accumulated actions to ashes. And then he offers this extraordinary reassurance. Even if you were the most sinful of all sinners, you would still cross over the entire ocean of wrongdoing by the raft of wisdom. Stop for a moment and let that truly land in your heart. The Gita is saying that no human being has ever fallen so far that the door is closed to them. Whatever you did yesterday, whatever your past has looked like, a single ray of understanding, one honest moment of change of heart can transform you completely. Let me share a beautiful story that shows exactly what this means. The story of the 1,000-year-old darkness. A student came to his teacher one day and sat down heavily, full of sadness. He said, "Master, I have made so many mistakes in my life. I have wasted so many years in ignorance. It is impossible for me to change now. How could the darkness of all those years ever be cleared away in a single day?" The teacher smiled. He said, Come with me, my child." He led the student to a very old, sealed room whose door had not been opened in years. Inside, it was pitch dark. The teacher asked, "Tell me, how long has this darkness been inside this room?" The student said, "Master, this room is centuries old. This darkness must be just as old." The teacher said, "So if we light a single small lamp in this room right now, how long will it take for that centuries-old darkness to disappear? Will it also take centuries?" The student was startled. He said quietly, "No, Master. The moment the lamp is lit, in that very instant, the darkness will be gone." The teacher said gently, "That, my child, is exactly the nature of wisdom. However old the darkness may be, it has no power of its own. Darkness is only the absence of light, and the instant light arrives, darkness leaves. The ignorance of all your past years is exactly like this. You do not have to spend years scrubbing it away. You only have to light one lamp inside yourself." You see, this is precisely what the Gita is telling us. Do not carry the weight of your yesterdays on your shoulders. One ray of understanding, one honest decision, can clear away years of inner darkness this very moment. And this is why Krishna declares that in all this world, there is nothing as purifying as true knowledge. So how does one receive this priceless wisdom? Krishna gives a beautiful method. He says, approach it with humility, with sincere questioning, and with a spirit of service. Those who have seen the truth will then share that knowledge with you. Notice the three things he names: humility, curiosity, and service. And notice which one comes first: humility. Because a person who is already full of himself, full of the pride of his own learning, has no room left inside for anything new. Let me share a very famous story that captures this perfectly. The story of the overflowing cup. A great scholar once went to visit a wise old sage. The scholar was extremely proud of his learning. The moment he sat down, he began to talk. "I have studied this scripture and that text. I know this and I know that. So now, tell me, what is true wisdom?" The sage smiled and said, "Before that, let us have some tea." He picked up a cup and began to pour. The cup filled up, but the sage kept pouring. The tea spilled over the rim, onto the saucer, then onto the table, and then onto the floor. The scholar jumped up and cried, "Stop! Stop! The cup is already full. Not one more drop will go in." The sage set down the pot and said very calmly, "You are exactly right. And you are just like this cup. You are completely full of your own opinions and the pride of your own knowledge. Until you empty your cup a little, I cannot pour anything into you." That is precisely what the Gita is telling us. The first condition for learning anything is humility. The day you begin to feel that you already know everything, your learning stops, and so does your growing. And at the end of the chapter, Krishna speaks about the thing that does us the most damage from within: doubt. He says that the person who is ignorant, who has no faith, and who is filled with doubt is the one who is destroyed. For the doubting mind, he says, there is happiness neither in this world nor anywhere else. And the opposite is also true. The one who has faith, who is earnest, and who has mastered his senses is the one who attains wisdom. You see, doubt is like a termite. It quietly eats away everything from the inside. A person who doubts every word, every relationship, and even his own self can never truly learn, never truly connect with anyone, and never truly rest. And so Krishna ends the 4th chapter with a call to action. He tells Arjuna, take the sword of wisdom. Cut away this doubt that ignorance has planted in your heart. Establish yourself in yoga and rise. Now the 5th chapter begins, and it begins with the very confusion that visits all of us at some point. Arjuna asked, Krishna, on one hand you praise the renunciation of action, and on the other hand you praise the path of action. Please tell me clearly, which one of these two is truly better? Krishna's answer was direct. Both renunciation and the yoga of action lead to the highest good. But of the two, the yoga of action is the better path. In other words, better than walking away from everything is to do everything and remain inwardly free. And then Krishna gives a definition of the true renunciate that quietly changes everything we thought we knew. Know that person to be a true and constant renunciate who neither hates anything nor craves anything. Notice how enormous that is. The Gita is saying that renunciation is not about leaving home, changing your clothes, or disappearing into a forest. Renunciation is about dropping attraction and aversion from within. A person can wear the robes of a monk and still be burning inside with desire. And a person can live in the middle of a family, going to work every day, and be a true renunciate. This is such a relief to hear, isn't it? So many of us quietly believe that the spiritual life belongs to somebody else, to people with more time, fewer responsibilities, quieter lives. The Gita gently removes that excuse and that burden at once. It says the work is not out there in some distant forest. The work is right here, in how you hold what is already in your hands. You do not need a different life to begin. You only need a different relationship with the life you already have.
Now comes the most beautiful image in the 5th chapter, perhaps in the whole Gita. Krishna says, the one who offers all his actions to the divine and acts without attachment remains untouched by wrongdoing, just as a lotus leaf remains untouched by the water it sits in. A lotus leaf. What a perfect image. It spends its entire life in water. Water is its home. And yet lift it up and look. Not a single drop clings to it. That is exactly the life the Gita wants for us. Live in the world. Live in it fully. Take care of your family, your work, your relationships, all your responsibilities. But do not become so soaked in it all that every passing thing leaves a permanent stain on your heart. Let me share a lovely story about this. The story of the boat and the water. A young man came to a sage and said, "Master, I long for peace too, but I am a householder. I have a family, a job, endless responsibilities. Should I also abandon everything and come live in the forest like you?" The sage took him to the riverbank, where a boat was floating on the water. He asked, "My child, is this boat in the water or not?" The young man said, "Of course, master, it's completely in the water." The sage asked, "Then why isn't it sinking?" The young man had no answer, so the sage answered for him. Because the boat is in the water, but the water is not in the boat. As long as that is true, the boat floats, and it carries people safely across. But the day the water gets inside the boat, that very same water sinks it. Then he said gently, "Your life should be exactly like that. Your living in the world is not the problem at all. The problem begins when the world gets inside you, when every small thing fills up your mind, when every attachment starts to weigh you down. Live in the world. Just don't let the world get inside you." That is the lotus leaf teaching in another form. You do not have to abandon anything and run away. You only have to learn to stay light inside. Then Krishna says something fascinating. He describes a person who has mentally set down all his actions and dwells happily as the master of a city of 9 gates, neither acting nor causing action. What is this city of 9 gates? It is our own body. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, and 2 lower openings. Those are the 9 gates. What a beautiful image. The Gita is saying you are not the owner of this body. You are a resident living inside it for a while. Just as you look after a rented house and keep it clean, but don't cling to it so hard that your heart breaks when it's time to leave, keep that same relationship with this body. Take wonderful care of it, but never forget that you are far greater than it. And Krishna dismantles another illusion here. He says that the divine does not take on anyone's wrongdoing nor anyone's merit. It is our own knowledge that is covered over by ignorance, and that is why people become confused. In other words, God is not some judge sitting above, keeping a ledger of your mistakes and waiting to punish you. The law is simple. What you sow, you reap. And our real enemy is not somewhere outside. It is the ignorance covering our own inner light.
Now comes the verse of the 5th chapter that gives humanity one of its greatest lessons. Krishna says that the truly wise look with equal vision upon a learned and humble scholar, upon a cow, upon an elephant, upon a dog, and even upon the most rejected outcast of society. In all of them, they see the same one self. Just think how revolutionary that idea was thousands of years ago. The Gita is saying that high and low, rich and poor, human and animal, these are only the outer coverings. The consciousness within, the light within, is one and the same in all. But there is something very important to understand here, and I'll explain it through a story. A teacher taught his students, "Children, remember, the divine dwells in every living being, so do not see difference in anyone." One student took this teaching very much to heart. One day, he was walking down a road when a maddened elephant came charging toward him. The keeper, riding on top, shouted at the top of his voice, "Move! Get out of the way! The elephant is out of control!" But the student did not budge. He thought, if the divine is in the elephant too, why would the divine ever harm me? And he stood right where he was. The elephant reached him, picked him up with its trunk, and flung him aside. The student fell, badly injured. Later, limping back to his teacher, he complained, "Master, you yourself said the divine is in everyone. Then why did the divine in that elephant injure me?" The teacher smiled with great affection and said, "My child, you are quite right. The divine was indeed in the elephant, but the divine was also in that keeper who was shouting himself hoarse, telling you to move. You saw the divine in the elephant, so why did you refuse to listen to the divine who came to you as the keeper?" You see, equal vision does not mean being foolish or careless. It means recognizing the same consciousness inside everyone, hating no one, looking down on no one, while still using every bit of your good sense and discernment. And Krishna says that those whose minds are established in this evenness have conquered the world while still living in it.
Now, a very deep observation from the 5th chapter. Krishna says that all pleasures born of contact with the outside world are, in the end, sources of sorrow, because they have a beginning and an end. And so he says the wise do not lose themselves in them. This does not mean that enjoying life is a sin. It only means that happiness which comes from outside things is always temporary. A new phone, a new car, a new house. The joy from these fades within days, and the mind runs off after the next thing. So, where is lasting joy? Krishna says,
The one who is not attached to outer contacts finds within his own self a happiness that never ends. Let me share one of the most beautiful stories ever told about this. There was once a deer in a forest. One day, it caught the scent of something extraordinary on the breeze, a fragrance so sweet, so intoxicating that the deer had never smelled anything like it in its life. It became restless. It thought, this fragrance must be coming from somewhere. I have to find it. And so it began to run. It searched the meadows. It was not there. It went to the flowers. The fragrance was not in them either. It climbed the hills, wandered along riverbanks, pushed deep into thick forests. Days passed. Months passed. It grew exhausted. Its feet became cut and bloodied. But it did not stop, because the fragrance was with it every single moment. Wherever it went, the scent was there too. And so it kept thinking, I must be getting closer. At last, one day, worn out and wounded, the deer collapsed to the ground. And there, in its final moments, it discovered the truth. That wondrous fragrance had not come from any flower or any hill. It was coming from its own body, from the musk within its own navel. The fragrance it had destroyed its whole life searching for had been inside it all along.
You see, friends, we are all exactly like that deer. We spend our whole lives hunting for happiness outside, in money, in status, in the approval of others. We run, we exhaust ourselves, we collect wounds along the way. And the Gita puts a hand on our shoulder and says very gently, stop running. What you are searching for out there has always been within you. And please don't misunderstand this as a reason to stop building your life. Work, earn, love, create, achieve, all of that is good and necessary. The Gita is only pointing out where the source actually is. When you stop demanding that outer things provide your peace, a strange thing happens. You begin to enjoy them far more than before. The pressure is off them. They no longer have to carry a weight they were never able to carry. And you can finally receive them for what they are, beautiful, passing gifts. And so Krishna closes the 5th chapter with words that bring the mind a deep and quiet peace. He says that the one who knows him as the true enjoyer of all sacrifice, the great Lord of all worlds, and as the selfless friend of every living being, attains perfect peace. Pause on that one phrase, the friend of every living being. The Gita is telling you that the divine is not your judge. The divine is your closest friend. Imagine what happens the day you truly believe that the greatest power in this universe is on your side, wishing you well. On that day, the very idea of fear will quietly leave your heart.
Now we come to the 6th chapter, the yoga of meditation. And this chapter is the medicine for our single greatest problem, our own uncontrollable mind. Right at the start, Krishna corrects a misunderstanding. He says the true renunciate and the true yogi is not the one who has merely given up rituals and work. It is the one who does his duty without depending on its fruit. And then he says something every human being should tie into a knot in their memory. Lift yourself up by your own self. Never let yourself sink down. For you alone are your own greatest friend, and you alone are your own greatest enemy. Stop and let that sink in. We spend our whole lives searching for support outside, waiting for someone to come and hold us up, someone to come and change our life. And the Gita says, very lovingly but very clearly, the one who will lift you up is you, and the one who can pull you down is also you. He makes it plain. For the person who has conquered his own mind, that mind becomes his dearest
dearest friend. But for the person who has not, that very same mind behaves like an enemy. And what is such a conquered person like? Krishna says that the one who has mastered his mind and become deeply peaceful remains the same in cold and heat, in pleasure and pain, and in honor and dishonor alike. The same in honor and dishonor. Think about how enormous that is. For most of us, our entire day is decided by what somebody said to us. One word of praise and we're floating in the sky. One word of criticism and we're on the floor.
Krishna then gives practical instructions for meditation. He says the seeker should sit in a clean, quiet place, on a seat that is neither too high nor too low. Hold the body, neck, and head straight and still, steady the mind, and turn gently inward. But along with this, he says something so kind and so practical that it feels like a gift to our modern world. He says, "This yoga is not for the one who eats too much, nor for the one who eats too little, nor for the one who sleeps too much, nor for the one who stays awake too long. It is the one whose eating and recreation are balanced, whose effort in work is balanced, and whose sleeping and waking are balanced. For that person, yoga becomes the destroyer of sorrow." You see, the Gita is not asking for some harsh, punishing discipline here. It is simply teaching balance. Don't starve yourself, and don't stuff yourself. Don't stay up all night, and don't sleep the day away. Today, we either drive our bodies like machines or collapse entirely into laziness. The Gita says, choose the middle path, because only a balanced body and mind are ready for peace. And then he gives that unforgettable image of a steady mind. He says that just as a lamp placed where there is no wind does not flicker, but burns perfectly still, such is the mind of a yogi who has brought his thoughts under control. Picture that for a moment. A closed room where not a breath of air stirs, and a single flame burning, perfectly straight, perfectly still, perfectly silent. Your mind can be like that, and imagine the peace of a mind like that. And what does one find in that state? Krishna says such a person finds a joy so complete that he considers no other gain greater than it. And once established there, he is not shaken even by the heaviest sorrow. Now comes the most human moment in the 6th chapter, and perhaps in the entire Gita. After listening to all this teaching, Arjuna very honestly admitted his weakness. He said, "Krishna, this mind is so restless, so turbulent, so strong and stubborn. Controlling it seems to me as difficult as holding the wind in my fist." Look at that. Even a warrior as great as Arjuna is saying this. So if you also feel, my mind is out of my control, there is nothing to be ashamed of. That is simply the nature of the mind. And Krishna's answer is a ray of hope for every one of us. He said, there is no doubt that the mind is restless and hard to control, but it can be brought under control through practice and through detachment. Notice he did not say it is impossible. He said it is difficult, but it can be done. And there are only two tools: practice, which means trying again and again, patiently, without giving up, and detachment, which means slowly loosening our excessive grip on things. And notice how these two work together. Practice alone can become a grim struggle. You sit down determined to conquer your mind and end up wrestling with it. Detachment alone can drift into indifference, but together they are gentle and powerful. You keep showing up and you keep loosening your grip. Little by little, the mind stops being a wild thing you are fighting and becomes a quiet companion walking beside you. And this is not the work of a day. It is the work of a life, which is exactly why Krishna calls it practice. And then he tells us exactly how to practice. He says, wherever this restless and unsteady mind wanders off to, gently bring it back from there and settle it again in the self. There is something very tender hidden in those words. Gently bring it back from there. The Gita does not tell you to fight your mind, or to be angry at it, or to scold yourself for being unable to meditate properly. It says, with love, with patience, again and again, simply bring it home. The way a mother takes her little child by the hand and brings him back, again and again, without irritation, without exhaustion. Let me share a delightful story about this. The story of Don't Think About the Monkey. A man went to a sage and said, "Master, please give me a mantra that will end all my troubles." The sage smiled and said, "Very well, I will give you a very powerful mantra. Repeat it 21 times every morning. But there is one condition. While you repeat it, you must not think about a monkey. If even once a monkey comes into your mind, the mantra will not work." The man went home delighted. The next morning, he bathed, sat down, closed his eyes, and began to chant. And the instant he closed his eyes, there was a monkey. He shook his head and started again. Another monkey. Monkeys in trees, monkeys on rooftops, monkeys leaping about. The harder he tried to chase them away, the more of them appeared. Frustrated, he ran back to the sage and cried, "Master, what kind of mantra is this? I have not seen as many monkeys in my whole life as I saw in 1 hour this morning." The sage burst out laughing. Then he said gently, "My child, this is exactly how the mind works. Whatever you try to force out will come back at you twice as hard. You can never win by fighting your mind. Don't try to chase it away. Simply give it something beautiful to rest on, and it will settle there by itself. Stop trying to banish the monkey. Turn your attention towards something lovely instead, and the monkey will leave on its own." That is precisely what the Gita is teaching. You are not meant to suppress the mind or wage war against it. You are simply meant to turn it, gently and repeatedly, towards something good. That is what practice means. Then Krishna describes the highest mark of a yogi. He says that the one established in yoga sees his own self in all beings, and all beings within his own self. Everywhere he looks, he sees with equal vision. And then comes the verse I consider the most compassionate line in the whole Gita. Krishna says, "The one who sees everyone as though they were himself, feeling another's joy as his own joy, and another's sorrow as his own sorrow. That person, Arjuna, is the highest yogi of all." Pause and consider that. The Gita is not saying the greatest yogi is the one who meditates the longest or performs the harshest austerities. It is saying the greatest yogi is the one whose heart can feel another person's pain. In other words, real spirituality does not cut you off from the world. It connects you to it more deeply. If someone's practice is making them hard, arrogant, and indifferent to the suffering of others, then something somewhere has gone wrong. Because according to the Gita, tenderness is the highest spiritual attainment there is. Now comes the final part of the 6th chapter, and it may be the greatest comfort in the entire text. Arjuna asked a deeply emotional question. "Krishna, what about someone who has faith but cannot fully control his mind, and so wanders off this path of yoga? What becomes of him? Does he lose both worlds and simply dissolve away like a scattered cloud?" That is our question too, isn't it? I am trying, but I keep slipping. So has all my effort been wasted? And listen to Krishna's answer. It is among the most loving things he ever says. "Arjuna, such a person is not destroyed, neither in this world nor in the next. For no one who does good, my dear child, ever comes to a bad end." Notice those 2 words, my dear child. In this entire discourse, This is the one moment where Krishna addresses Arjuna with such fatherly tenderness. It is as though a father lifts his frightened child into his lap and says, "Don't be afraid, my little one. Not one of your efforts will ever be wasted." He then explains that such a seeker is born again into a good and pure home, or even into a family of yogis. And there, the practice of his previous life awakens within him on its own, and he continues his journey from exactly where he left off. In other words, not a single step taken on this path is ever erased. It stays permanently in your account.
Let me share a beautiful story about this. The story of the bamboo tree. A farmer planted a bamboo seed in his field. Every day he watered it, cared for it, and tended the soil. A year passed, and nothing appeared above the ground. People said, "You're wasting your effort," but the farmer kept watering. A second year passed, still nothing. A third year, nothing. A fourth year, the ground remained completely bare, as though nothing had ever been planted there. By now, people were laughing openly. What a foolish man, watering an empty patch of earth for 4 years. But the farmer did not give up. Every morning, he went out and quietly watered the ground. And then the 5th year came. A tiny shoot pushed up out of the soil, and what happened next was almost miraculous. In just 6 weeks, that bamboo grew to 80 feet tall. People were astonished. How did it grow so much in 6 weeks? The farmer smiled and said, "It did not grow in 6 weeks. It grew over 5 years. For those 4 years, it was not growing upward. It was growing downward, spreading its roots far and wide beneath the earth. If those roots had not been strong, an 80-foot bamboo would have fallen in the very first strong wind with it." You see, friends, your own inner work is exactly like this. You will often feel, "I have been trying for so long and nothing is changing." But believe me, a great deal is changing inside. Your roots are going deeper. And one day, when the time is right, your growth will look like a miracle to everyone else. But you will know which quiet, unseen years it came from. This is why Krishna says that the yogi stands above the ascetics and above the scholars. And he closes the chapter with his tenderest thought of all, that of all yogis, the one who is filled with faith and whose innermost heart is absorbed in him, that one, in his eyes, is the closest of all.
So, friends, let us gather the nectar of these 3 chapters and settle it into our hearts. The 4th chapter taught us that the fire of wisdom can burn all our old actions to ashes, so stop carrying the weight of your yesterdays. Just as a single lamp erases centuries of darkness in an instant, one moment of true understanding can change your life. And to receive that wisdom, you need humility, curiosity, and service, because a full cup cannot receive anything new. And above all, cut away the doubt inside you, because doubt is the greatest destroyer of all. The 5th chapter taught us that true renunciation is not about running away, but about dropping attraction and aversion from within. Learn to live like the lotus leaf, like the boat on the river. Be in the world, but don't let the world get inside you. See the same one consciousness in everyone, but keep the lamp of your own good judgment burning too. And never forget that the happiness you are chasing out there is, like the musk deer's fragrance, already within you. And the 6th chapter handed us the greatest key of all, that you are your own best friend and your own worst enemy. Master your mind, but not by fighting it. Gently, patiently, bringing it back again and again. Keep balance in your life, in food, in sleep, in work. Feel another person's sorrow as your own, because that is the highest practice there is. And if you ever feel you have wandered off the path, remember, no one who walks toward the good ever comes to a bad end. Not one of your efforts is ever wasted.
You see how gentle and how practical this whole message is.
The Gita does not ask you to leave your home. It asks you to stay right here, fulfill every one of your duties, and yet remain light, calm, and fearless within. So make one small resolution today. Spend a few quiet moments with yourself each day. Bring your mind gently home. Bring a little more balance into your eating and your sleeping. Hold someone's hand in their sorrow, and keep faith in every effort you make, because your roots, quietly, are growing deeper all the time. Take care of yourself. Stay calm, stay happy, and keep smiling. Hare Krishna. Thank you.